Yo, what's poppin', guys? And recently, I made a video titled "My Community Makes Fun of Platformers." Right? Because recently I made another video where I showed you how to get onto the featured page. It was very sarcastic. It was a joke video, very satire, where I just basically went over how people make platformers by stealing, right, and changing nothing. And then my my game review studio got a few projects in there where they followed the process and made a terrible platformer, right? And I got a comment on the video titled "My Community Makes Fun of Platformers" by someone, I don't remember the name, but they said something like, "Your community doesn't like platformers because you say they suck all the time." And I responded to the comment something along the lines of why I dislike them, right? I don't. So I thought it was necessary maybe to make a video addressing addressing this and explaining why I dislike platformers as much as I do, right? I've already made a video on this in the past a few years ago called "The Platformer Problem." I think it was a few years ago. I don't know how long ago it was. But that video is pretty old, so I thought since I have a bunch of new people, like maybe, I don't know, 1,000 more people since I made that video, I should explain my reasoning again for disliking platformers on Scratch as much as I do. So basically, the reason why I cannot stand any platformers that you see on the Explore page is that they are all carbon copies of one another. I don't know who started the trend, but whoever did, I dislike you. So basically what they'll do is they'll take normally a Warframe tutorial, but sometimes you'll get some random platformer engine that you find on Scratch, and what they'll do is they'll take that engine, they'll download the file, they'll re-upload it into one of their projects. The character will always be the same. Go onto the Explore page and look at the character for every single platformer you see. Unless this platformer that you're seeing is doing something drastically different, you will see no difference in the character. The character is always a colored square, normally black, with rounded corners and a big eye in the middle, with no difference. The only thing that might be different is when you move the character, the eye might look in the direction that they're moving. That's about it. As for level design, all the levels are the same. I guarantee you'll pick up on the pattern. Go ahead, right now. Go find 10 and play all of them. It will not be hard to find 10. As long as they're not scrolling multiplayer, which is another huge genre in and of itself that's all the exact same thing. Go find some non-scrolling, non-multiplayer platformers and tell me if pretty much every level is exactly identical from start to finish. You're going to say they are, because they are. Unless you're going out of your way to find platformers that are crazy. But again, I'm telling you to go onto the Explore page, because that's where the problem arises. I'm not saying I hate all platformers. I'm saying I hate the platformers that copy each other and change nothing. That's stupid. That I don't like. That I don't find remotely creative or remotely skill. That is not the sentence that made sense. That also didn't make sense. There is no skill in doing what these people do. There is no skill in taking somebody else's work and changing nothing. It doesn't take talent. It doesn't take skill. And it's just a cheap way to farm follows, likes, favorites, hearts, comments, and get yourself on the Explore page in a very scummy way. And I don't agree with it at all. Again, there are people out here who, I'm going to use myself as an example. I know that sounds really egotistical. That is not what I'm going for. I just can't think of another person off the top of my head that isn't super popular and also have their stuff on the Explore page. Like, I can't say Griff Patch. Griff Patch's stuff gets on the Explore page all the time. But I'm going to use me as an example. I'll spend months on a project, right? And I'm sure multiple of you also do this. You'll spend so long on a project, it'll be perfect and you'll love it. You'll post a project, 8 views in like 20 months. That is by no means good at all for all the effort that you and I have put into our projects. And then you have these people that download a game and re-upload it so that the remix thing isn't there and get 800,000 views. That's obviously an over-exaggeration. In a matter of days. Days they'll get on it. And they all put the exact same thing in their instructions and notes and credits as well. I got onto the Explore page. I never expected this. You did expect it. You knew exactly what you were doing when you did what you did. You knew that you were going to get on the Explore page by doing scummy tactics. You knew you were going to do it. You knew you were. Like, nobody's out here copying other people's work and posting it oblivious to the fact that they're going to get popular off of it. It's just a fact. You most likely will. It's very easy to do these kinds of projects and get popular off of them. It does not take a lot of effort. Because in case you didn't know this, the way to get on the Explore page is a large amount of hearts, favorites, and comments in a small period of time. That's how you get onto the Explore page. I'm planning on making a legitimate tutorial on how to get onto it that isn't satirical. But that's basically the very, very basics of how to do it. Get a large amount of comments, hearts, and favorites in a small amount of time. That'll get you onto the Explore page. That's really how you do it. Now, how do you go about doing that? That's something for another video. But that's how you do it, and these people know that that's how this works. And they know that people are likely to click on a platformer because it's something easy to just open up and play. Fun fact, I don't know if you know this, the majority of the time scratches being used is by people in schooling. I don't know if you knew that. That's the majority of the time scratches used is by people who are in school, right? Because a majority of schools, I'm saying a majority because a lot of them do, many don't, but a lot do. A lot of schools teach Scratch in maybe a computers class or a computer science class that they'll teach Scratch, right? So now these kids know that Scratch exists, and obviously, since it's at school, they're not going to block the site. So what will these kids do? They'll play Scratch games. And what's something really easy to play at school without being caught because you only need one hand and you can pretend like you're paying attention? It's a platformer. You can easily just put your hand on the arrow keys of your keyboard and just play a game with one hand and act like you're doing something with the other. It's not hard, and this is what people know this. People know this happens because they're the people that do it. People who play these platformers in school know exactly that the fact that these students are doing this, so they'll do the same thing. They'll post these same carbon copy paste projects because that's what you're going to do in school. If you don't want to do the work, you're going to play a game. And what's super easy to get to? Scratch. That's just a fact. That's just how it is. But that's why I dislike platformers. Basic run through. I dislike them because they're scummy. Again, I'm not saying I hate all of them. I highly dislike the ones that change nothing and do nothing unique and nothing different from the others. There are several platformers that I've seen that I've really liked. I have a video that's literally called, I think, like, This Scratch Platformer is Amazing, where I play a really, really unique and interesting platformer, right? And here's the funny part about that, right? It was a platformer that trolled you, right? It messed with your head. You played through it, and it's like, you weren't actually supposed to do this, and it did some really cool mind game stuff. The really funny part is, that thing got to, like, the top of the Explore page. The second that project came up, guess how many carbon copy projects there were of that project doing the exact same tricks? There were hundreds for, like, a few days. It was actually mind-numbingly annoying how these people work. It makes me so upset how people can spend months and months on a project and never have it see the light of day. And people can spend literally 3 minutes on a copy-paste platformer and become the top of the Explore page in 5 minutes. It's ridiculous, and I dislike it. That's my take on it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Join Discord, link in the description. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, all that stuff. I don't feel like doing an outro. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.